The stars had always been beautiful to the Varelians. From their shining towers on Prime, they used to look at the night sky and wonder if someone else lived out there among the endless lights. They believed the universe was kind, that life was meant to grow and connect. But that was before the Krail Dominion arrived. The machines came from the dark void between galaxies, cold, silent, and without mercy. No one knew why they attacked or even what they wanted. They did not speak, they did not bargain, and they did not stop. They consumed everything, worlds, cities, and dreams. The Varelians tried to fight back. Their starships were elegant and fast. Their shields glowed like crystal wings, but they were no match for the endless swarm of metal. Within months, their defense lines fell. Planets burned. On Prime, the last of the Varel scientists gathered in the Grand Beacon Chamber. The air smelled of burnt circuits and ozone. Power was fading fast and the ground shook with distant explosions. The leader, Elder Sirai, stood before a flickering console. Her voice trembled, but her will did not. "We have one choice left," she said softly. "We must send a call beyond the stars. Someone, anyone, must hear us." Her assistants, young and frightened, exchanged uncertain looks. "Elder, no one has ever answered the deep space signal. It could travel for thousands of years before reaching another world," one said. "Then let it travel," Sarai replied. "If our end must come, let the stars remember we asked for help." They poured the last of their planet's power into the beacon. The signal was encoded with everything they had: coordinates, language samples, history, and a simple message. "Help us. We are dying." The beam of light rose into the sky, cutting through smoke and cloud. For a moment it was the brightest thing in the heavens. Then it was gone, swallowed by the void. Days passed, weeks. No reply came. The Krail advanced, crushing city after city. The oceans turned dark, the forests burned, and the sky became filled with drifting metal ships. Hope faded. The Varelians whispered that the stars were deaf. The last survivors hid beneath the ground, waiting for the end. But light travels far, and though the Varelians could not see it, their message kept going. Across dying worlds, ancient nebulae, and silent dust clouds, it passed stars that had never known life and worlds that would never know it. And one day, it reached Earth. Thousands of years later, on a clear night in the Nevada desert, Dr. Mira Lang sat inside the SETI Reborn Observatory. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, and her computer screen showed endless lines of data. Most nights were quiet, filled only with static. Listening for signals from space was a lonely job. She leaned back in her chair and rubbed her eyes. "Another night, another pile of noise," she muttered. Her colleague, Tom Varner, laughed from across the room. "Maybe tomorrow we'll finally get our alien hello," he joked. Mira smiled weakly. "I'll believe it when I see it." Then something changed. A faint pattern appeared on one of her monitors, repeating tones buried beneath the usual background static. At first she thought it was interference, but the rhythm caught her attention. It wasn't random, it was organized. She frowned, adjusted the filters, and ran it through a translator. The pattern formed a sequence of numbers, coordinates, and then, unbelievably, symbols. Her heart began to race. "Tom, come here now," he hurried over, curious. They both stared at the screen as the translation software struggled to make sense of the message. Lines of alien text flickered, then turned into something they could read. "Help us. We are dying." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Tom swallowed hard. "That's gotta be a prank, right?" Mira shook her head slowly. The data stream came from a point 50 million light-years away. No human signal could do that. They both looked at each other, the weight of realization sinking in. Someone out there was calling for help, and no one had ever heard them before. Within hours, the observatory was filled with scientists and military officials. News spread quickly through secret channels. The United Earth Space Command sent representatives to investigate. Admiral Pierce, a stern man with gray hair, stood behind Mira's desk the next morning. "Dr. Lang," he said, "are you absolutely certain this is not a natural signal or a trick?" "Yes, sir," she replied firmly. "This is intelligent communication. They used mathematical constants and syntax patterns. Whoever sent this was desperate." Pierce's expression softened. "Then it's a distress call." Mira nodded. "Yes, and it's very, very old. By the time it reached us, centuries may have passed for them." The Admiral looked out the window at the bright morning sky. "Still, if there's a chance someone is alive out there, we have a duty to respond." "A duty?" The word echoed in Mira's mind. Humanity had always looked up at the stars with curiosity, but never with responsibility. Maybe now was the time to change that. Within weeks, governments around the world gathered in emergency meetings. Some saw it as an opportunity, others as a danger. We can't risk our people for ghosts, one leader said. What if it's a trap? Another argued. But others remembered how it felt to be alone. Earth had seen centuries of war, division, and loss. Humanity had once nearly destroyed itself, yet it survived because someone, somewhere, chose to help. Finally, the United Earth Council voted. Humanity would answer the call. The project was given the codename Operation Dawnreach. It would require the creation of a ship unlike any before, a vessel capable of crossing galaxies. Scientists worked together across nations, combining every technology known to humankind, quantum engines, plasma shields, and deep space navigation AI. Mira was appointed as the mission's chief communication officer. You found their voice, Admiral Pierce said to her. Now help us find them. For the first time in her life, she felt a purpose greater than herself. Months turned into years. The Ark-class vessel Horizon rose slowly within Earth's orbit, a shining city of steel and light. It was humanity's most ambitious creation, massive, powerful, and filled with hope. As the final preparations were made, Mira stood on the launch platform and looked up at the ship. The morning sun reflected off its surface like a second star. She thought about the message that had started it all, still playing softly in her earpiece. Help us. We are dying, she whispered back. We're coming. That night, the world gathered to watch the launch. Billions of people stood in front of screens and windows, united by something rare, a shared sense of wonder. When the countdown began, the world fell silent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A thunderous roar filled the sky as the Horizon lifted off, climbing into the stars. The blue flame of its engines cut through the dark, carrying with it the hopes of an entire planet. From space, the ship glowed like a bright comet, leaving Earth behind, and somewhere, far beyond the edge of known space, the Varelians, those who had once cried out into the dark, waited. Their message had finally been heard. The news of the alien distress signal spread across Earth like wildfire. Every major media network spoke about it. People filled the streets, watching giant screens that replayed the translated message again and again. Help us. We are dying. For the first time in centuries, humanity forgot its arguments. Borders and politics seemed small compared to the voice that had crossed the stars. Across cities and continents, people asked the same question. What will we do? In the capital of the United Earth Council, delegates gathered in the great dome known as the Global Assembly Hall. The ceiling was made of transparent panels, showing a clear view of the night sky. Stars twinkled above them, silent witnesses to the debate that would decide humanity's future. At the front stood Admiral Pierce, tall and calm. His voice carried across the hall. This signal is real, he said. It came from beyond our galaxy. Dr. Mira Lang's team verified it. The message is old, perhaps centuries, but it is a plea for rescue. The question before us is simple. Do we answer it? Murmurs filled the hall. Some delegates spoke with fear. What if it's a trap? One asked. We barely recovered from our own wars a few decades ago. Sending a ship across galaxies could destroy us. Others spoke with hope. If someone cried for help, we cannot ignore it, said the African delegate, her voice trembling. We have been alone in the dark for too long. Maybe helping them is what makes us human. Pierce looked around the hall. The universe has been silent for eons. Now for the first time, someone has spoken to us. If we turn away, we prove that our hearts are smaller than our machines. The chamber grew quiet. Then the council president, Ilara Cho, rose. Her voice was firm but kind. Humanity has always looked up at the stars with wonder. Now the stars are looking back. I say we answer. The vote was cast. It was not easy. Many feared what they did not know, but in the end, hope won. Earth decided to answer. The project was named Operation Dawnreach, a symbol of light reaching into darkness. Scientists, engineers, and builders from every nation joined forces. Orbital shipyards around Earth and the Moon worked day and night. The mission would be led by Captain Elias Reyes, a decorated explorer known for his calm nature and quick mind. He was chosen not only for his skill, but also for his compassion. When asked why he volunteered, he simply said, Because if the universe cries for help, someone must listen. Dr. Mira Lang was chosen as the Chief Communications Officer. She had been the first to decode the signal. Now she would be the one to speak for Earth when they found its sender. Mira worked tirelessly with her team to enhance translation systems, combining human linguistics with AI learning. She often thought of the voice she had heard in the data, sad, distant, but filled with hope. Whoever they were, they had trusted the stars. Now it was time for humanity to prove worthy of that trust. Months passed. Massive construction stations around Earth shimmered with activity. The ship, named Horizon, slowly took shape in orbit. It was the largest human creation ever built, 2 kilometers long, armed for defense but designed for peace. It had farms, living quarters, laboratories, and engines capable of bending the fabric of space. The quantum fold drive, invented only 10 years earlier, would allow the Horizon to cross millions of light years through artificial wormholes. It was dangerous, untested at long range, but it was the only way to reach the distant signal. Captain Reyes visited the construction site often, speaking with engineers and workers. He believed that every person who placed a bolt or wire on the ship was part of history. "This is not a warship," he reminded them. "It's a promise." Back on Earth, people followed the project with pride. Children drew pictures of the Horizon in school. Scientists volunteered to join the mission, even knowing they might never return. Donations poured in from ordinary citizens, proof that hope had become stronger than fear. Mira often visited the ship's communication deck, even before it was finished. She would stand in the middle of the room and imagine hearing a voice reply through the static. Sometimes late at night she would whisper softly, "Don't give up. We're coming." But not everyone was at peace. In secret meetings, some military advisors argued that the mission could expose Earth to danger. "If we reveal our location, we might attract enemies," said General Harkin. The Krail, if that's what they're called, could already be searching for new worlds. Admiral Pierce understood the fear but refused to cancel the mission. "We cannot hide forever," he said. "If there are monsters in the dark, we face them by standing together, not by staying silent." Even so, precautions were made. The Horizon was fitted with plasma shields and defense drones. It carried a limited number of weapons, not to conquer, but to survive. Captain Reyes trained his crew in every emergency scenario: hostile contact, unknown disease, communication failure, and drive malfunction. The mission could take years and the risks were enormous, yet the crew's resolve never wavered. They knew they carried more than metal and engines. They carried the hope of an entire species. At last, the day of launch arrived. From every continent, people gathered to watch. Giant screens showed the Horizon floating above the blue curve of Earth, gleaming like a silver dawn. The world's anthem, a melody composed from every nation's voice, played softly in the background. Mira stood on the observation deck beside Captain Reyes and Admiral Pierce. Below them, engineers made final checks and the ship's engines glowed with soft blue light. Pierce looked at Mira. "You found them," he said quietly. "Now bring them home." "I'll try," she replied. "For all of us." Captain Reyes turned to his crew. "We don't know what waits beyond, but we go not for conquest or fame. We go because someone out there asked for help. That alone is reason enough." The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. On Earth, millions held their breath. Children waved small flags. Old men wept. Scientists watched data screens praying for no malfunction. 3, 2, 1, launch! A brilliant light erupted as the Horizon's engines roared to life. The ship slowly drifted away from the docking station, then accelerated toward the black sky. Clouds parted. Thunder rolled across the planet as the engines broke through the atmosphere. From the surface, the ship appeared as a shining star moving upward, a symbol of humanity's courage. Then, in a flash of blue, the quantum gate opened before it, swirling like liquid light. The Horizon entered the portal, and in a blink it was gone. Cheers erupted across the world. People hugged strangers, cried, and smiled. For the first time in human history, Earth had sent a message not with words but with action. They had answered a call from the unknown. Inside the Horizon, silence replaced the thunder. Stars stretched and blurred outside the windows. The crew held their breath as the navigation AI announced, "Quantum fold in progress. Estimated travel time 72 hours. Mira watched the stars bend around them. She had seen pictures of space before, but this was beyond beauty. It felt like the universe itself was holding its breath. Captain Reyes approached her. Still doubting we'll find them? She smiled faintly. I stopped doubting the moment I heard their voice, he nodded. Then let's make sure they hear ours. As the horizon vanished into the deep unknown, Earth faded behind them, a small blue dot in an ocean of light. Ahead waited a dying world that had once cried out for help. Humanity was coming, and this time the stars would listen. 3 days after the horizon entered the quantum fold, the stars reappeared. The crew felt a soft vibration as the engines powered down. For a few moments, no one spoke. The silence of another galaxy surrounded them. Captain Elias Reyes stood at the front window of the command deck. His eyes widened at the sight before him. By all the stars, he whispered. Before them stretched a vast, dim system. The main sun was dying, a red-orange sphere giving weak light. Around it, fragments of destroyed moons drifted like ashes in space, and on the third planet, the sensors detected signs of ruins and weak energy readings. It was Prime, the world that had sent the ancient cry for help. Dr. Mira Lang's hands trembled as she activated the scanners. Sir, the signal source matches perfectly. This is the planet, but... She paused, her voice heavy. It looks dead. The ship moved closer. What had once been green oceans were now black and thick, filled with metallic dust. The surface shimmered with the remains of cities, towers half buried in ash, entire continents scarred by deep trenches. Captain Reyes gave his order quietly. Prepare a landing team. I want eyes on the ground. The Horizon's landing craft, Sol 1, descended through the thick clouds. Fire streaked across the window as the small ship entered the planet's atmosphere. Below them, the world stretched in broken silence. Lieutenant Kara O'Neill, the ship's pilot, guided the craft steadily. Radiation levels are low but manageable. I'm seeing faint life signs near the equator. Mira leaned forward, her heart racing. That must be them. The craft landed in the middle of what used to be a great city. Now it was only dust, cracked metal, and shadows. The air was thin and gray. The silence felt heavy, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Captain Reyes and his team stepped out wearing environment suits. The ground crumbled under their boots. Twisted towers leaned like old skeletons. Strange symbols covered the broken walls, beautiful even in ruin. This place must have been incredible once, Kara said quietly. Mira nodded. They built wonders and lost them all. They followed the weak life signals through the wreckage until they reached a narrow valley. At the end of it stood a half-collapsed dome surrounded by glowing crystals. The scanners showed faint energy readings from inside. Reyes raised a hand. Stay alert. We don't know what's in there. When they entered, their lights revealed small figures huddled near the center. They were fragile beings, tall and thin, their skin faintly luminous like moonlight. Their eyes opened slowly as the humans approached. Mira stepped forward and activated her translator. We are from Earth. We heard your call. For a moment, there was no reply. Then one of the aliens, old and weak, his light dim, spoke softly. The translator converted the strange tones into words. You heard us after all this time? Mira knelt beside him. Yes, we came as soon as we could. The alien trembled, tears shining in his bright eyes. We sent the signal long ago. We thought it vanished into the dark. You are real. Captain Reyes gently lowered his weapon. We're here to help. You're safe now. The alien's name was Elder Sarai, the same leader who had sent the beacon centuries ago. She was barely alive but smiled faintly when she saw the human faces. Around her were only a few dozen survivors, the last of the Varelians. Our world is lost, she said weakly. The Krail came. They took everything. We hid beneath the ground for generations. Many believed the stars had forgotten us. Mira touched her arm gently. You were never forgotten. As they spoke, alarms blared on the horizon above. Lieutenant Chen on the bridge shouted, Captain, we have movement. Unknown vessels detected on long-range scanners. They're heading toward us fast. In orbit, hundreds of metallic shapes appeared, gliding silently like shadows. The computer identified them instantly. Krail Dominion ships. Shields up, shouted Chen. Weapons online! The ship vibrated as plasma bolts flashed across the dark sky. The first human intergalactic battle had begun. Down on the surface, the team saw the bright flashes above. Mira's heart sank. They've found us. Captain Reyes pressed his comm. Bridge, this is Reyes. We're under the surface with survivors. Hold them off as long as you can. The Horizon's turrets opened fire. cutting through the first wave of Krail drones. The machines were silent but deadly, sleek black ships without windows or markings. They moved with machine precision, surrounding the human ship like wolves. But humanity had learned to fight in chaos. Reyes had trained his crew for every danger. The Horizon dodged through enemy lines, firing bursts of plasma that lit up the void. Earth soldiers cheered as the first Krail cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash. On the planet, the ground trembled as debris rained from the sky. The Varelians looked up in fear. Mira turned to Sarai. "Is there anywhere safe we can move you?" Sarai shook her head. "There is a chamber below, our last power core. It may shield us," Reyes nodded. "Lead the way. We'll protect you." They moved through tunnels filled with ancient machinery. The lights flickered faintly, powered by old energy cells. Deep underground, they reached a circular chamber glowing softly with blue light. "This is the heart of Varel Prime," Sarai said. "It powered our beacons long ago." Reyes looked around. "Maybe it can power something again." He activated his wrist comm. "Bridge, this is ground team. We found the survivors and an energy core. If we can connect it, we might amplify our shields or disrupt theirs." The answer came through static. "Understood, Captain." "Do it fast, they're regrouping." Above, the Horizon fought bravely. The Krail ships had no pilots, only cold logic and perfect aim. Yet human creativity gave them trouble. Lieutenant Chen ordered evasive patterns, and the Horizon danced between enemy fire like a living thing. Inside, engineers rerouted power, repaired shields, and shouted updates through the noise. Humanity's first intergalactic ship refused to fall. On the surface, Reyes and Mira worked together to activate the ancient Varel core. The machines hummed as human technology linked with alien design. Lines of light crawled across the walls. Sarai watched in awe. "Your hands bring our world to life again." Mira smiled gently. "Maybe we're not so different." Suddenly the floor shook. A dark shape descended from the clouds, one of the Krail warships landing directly above them. Massive legs drilled into the ground, and a deep metallic voice echoed through the caves. It wasn't language, but a cold signal of detection. "They've found us," Kara shouted. Reyes raised his plasma rifle. "Mira, finish the link. I'll buy you time." He and the security team took positions near the entrance. The air shimmered with dust as metal drones poured in, spidery machines with red glowing cores. The humans fired, and the tunnels lit up with bursts of light. Sparks and smoke filled the air. Despite the chaos, Mira kept working, her fingers moving quickly. The translator AI guided her through the alien system. Almost there. Just a few more seconds. A bright pulse spread through the chamber. The ancient Varel core awakened fully, releasing a wave of energy that rippled through the ground and up into the sky. The Krail drones froze mid-step, their red lights flickering. "Did it work?" Reyes asked, panting. Mira checked the readings. "Yes, the pulse disrupted their control signal." Above, the Horizon sensors detected the same pulse. The Krail ships' formations broke apart as some of them went dark, colliding into each other. The bridge crew erupted in cheers. Reyes lifted his comm. "Horizon, now's your chance. Hit them hard." The sky lit up with explosions. Human weapons fired in coordinated bursts, tearing through the disabled enemy fleet. For the first time, the Krail were retreating. The dark swarm scattered into the void. When silence finally returned, Mira fell to her knees, exhausted. "We did it." Elder Sarai looked up toward the ceiling, where faint sunlight filtered through cracks. "You came when all others turned away. The stars were not deaf after all." Reyes smiled. "No, they just needed time." Hours later, the Horizon landed near the ruins. Rescue teams brought food, water, and medicine to the surviving Varelians. Engineers began building shelters using portable domes. For the first time in centuries, the air on Varel Prime filled with voices, human and alien together. From orbit, the world looked small and wounded, but alive. Humanity had done something no one else in the galaxy had ever done. They had answered a call for help from the darkness and won. Mira stood beside Captain Reyes, watching the twin suns rise over the broken horizon. "Do you think they'll recover?" she asked softly. "Maybe," he said. "But even if they don't, they'll never be alone again." The Varelians began to sing, a gentle, glowing melody that echoed through the valley. It was a song of hope, rebirth, and gratitude. And for the first time in ages, the world of Varel Prime saw a new dawn. The Varelians had survived, but Varel Prime was still a world of scars. Smoke rose from distant ruins, rivers ran dark, and the air carried the sharp scent of burned metal. Above the planet, the horizon orbited, its systems scanning for any remaining threats. Captain Elias Reyes paced the command deck. The human crew had fought bravely, but the Krail Dominion could return at any moment. Every battle they had faced had proven the machines were relentless, adaptive, and merciless. Dr. Mira Lang stood beside him, holding a portable interface that connected human and Varelian technology. The pulse they had sent during the first engagement had disrupted the Krail temporarily, but it was only a delay. The machines would learn, adapt, and return stronger. Reyes clenched his fists. We can't just defend them. We have to strike before they rebuild. If we wait, there won't be anything left to save. Mira nodded. Agreed. I've been working with the Varelians to understand the Krail code. There's a pattern, hidden frequencies that control their fleet. If we can disrupt it, we could disable them permanently. The captain's eyes lit up. Then we plan the counterstrike. We hit them where it hurts. Over the next days, humans and Varelians worked side by side. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers shared knowledge, combining technology for the first time in galactic history. The Varelians showed humans the design of their planetary core, a vast energy network that powered beacons and communications for centuries. Humans integrated it with their weapon systems and the Horizon's quantum drive, creating a hybrid array capable of sending a devastating interference pulse. Dr. Lang explained the plan to Captain Reyes. The pulse must reach the heart of their fleet, the command ship. That's the only way to stop them. But it's dangerous. The command ship will detect us immediately. Reyes nodded grimly. Then we'll do it fast, no hesitation. Meanwhile, the Varelians prepared for the fight, strengthening their shelters and shielding the last survivors. They had learned to trust humans, but the Krail were still machines of pure logic. They would not stop until every trace of life was gone. Mira looked out at the barren horizon. I never imagined humans and aliens would fight together like this. Yet here we are, standing against a darkness that never sleeps. Reyes put a hand on her shoulder. That's what makes us strong. We adapt, we fight, and we protect. That's humanity's gift, and now it's theirs too. The day of the counterstrike arrived. Above Varel Prime, the Krail fleet had returned. Hundreds of sleek black ships glided toward the planet, their sensors sweeping for any sign of resistance. They were silent, efficient, and deadly. Lieutenant Chen, the Horizon's tactical officer, studied the formation. Captain, their formation is tighter than before. They've learned from our last encounter. We can't engage directly without heavy losses. Reyes tapped his chin thoughtfully. Then we don't engage directly. We make them come to us. Using Varelian energy cores as decoys, the Horizon projected false signals across the sky. The Krail, unable to distinguish real from illusion, split their forces. It was risky, but it gave the humans a narrow window to launch their plan. Now, Reyes said. Mira and her team initiated the interference pulse. The hybrid device linked human and Varelian systems, humming with immense energy. The room glowed as it charged. Outside, the Krail ships shifted, sensing an anomaly. Red lights flickered across their hulls, an indication that the pulse was affecting their systems. Almost there, Mira said. Sweat ran down her face. Just a few more seconds. A sudden alarm rang. The Krail had detected the interference. Drones moved faster, closing in on the horizon. Captain Reyes raised his voice. All hands battle stations. Protect the pulse at all costs. The first drones reached the ship, firing precision bolts that lit the void. Horizon shields flared under the impact. The crew responded immediately, targeting drones with plasma cannons and missile volleys. Sparks and smoke filled the corridors as the ship shook with every hit. Mira's fingers moved rapidly over the console. Charging complete. Sending. A wave of energy rippled outward from the ship, reaching into space. It targeted the Krail command ship, the heart of the fleet. For a moment, the entire sky seemed to pulse with light. The machines froze mid-motion. Then one by one, systems shut down. Drones collided, ships spun out of control, and the fleet's deadly efficiency collapsed. Chen shouted from the bridge. They're shutting down. Captain, it's working. Reyes allowed himself a small smile. Humanity fights differently. We think, we adapt, and we improvise. That's how we win. On the planet's surface, Varelians watched the battle unfold. Elder Sarai's light flickered brightly as she whispered, They are different. They truly listen, and they truly act. The surviving Varelians began assisting humans in recovery operations, guiding them to hidden caches of power cells and repair stations. Together, they prepared for any lingering Krail threats. As the interference pulse continued, the command ship of the Krail shuddered. Its immense hull cracked and sparks flew. The ships behind it, linked in the network, lost control. One by one, they fell silent, drifting into space. Captain Reyes allowed a moment of relief. "We did it. The fleet is disabled. The Krail can no longer harm this world." Mira exhaled slowly. "It feels impossible. But we did it." The victory, however, came with caution. Not all Krail drones had been disabled. Some still floated in the distant void, awaiting new instructions. The humans and Varelians knew that vigilance was essential. In the following hours, engineers on the horizon worked with Varelian scientists to reinforce planetary defenses. Portable energy shields, automated repair drones, and emergency communication arrays were deployed across the surviving cities. Humanity had not only saved a world, they had ensured its survival against future attacks. Elder Sarai approached Captain Reyes and Mira. "You came when no one else did. You fought when no one else could. You are our guardians." Reyes shook his head humbly. "We only did what any species would do. But it seems humanity is relentless when we care about others." Mira smiled softly. "Sometimes it is enough to listen first. Then the rest follows." The Varelians began to rebuild slowly. With human help, they restored essential systems: water purification, energy distribution, and shelter for the survivors. Children ran through the ruins, laughing for the first time in generations. Adults worked alongside human engineers, sharing knowledge and learning from one another. Above, the horizon continued to patrol the skies, ready for any remaining threats. Captain Reyes watched as the twin suns of Prime rose on the horizon. The planet was scarred, but it was alive. Mira turned to him. "Do you think they'll ever forgive themselves for waiting so long?" Reyes shook his head. "They never needed to forgive themselves. They survived, and now they have allies. That is enough." That night, the survivors gathered beneath the faint glow of repaired energy towers. Varelian light mixed with human lanterns, creating a spectrum of color that had not been seen on the planet for centuries. Elder Sarai addressed the group. "We have lost much, but we have been given a second chance. Our world will heal and our people will live. The ones who came to us, humans, they have taught us something we forgot, that hope is stronger than fear and courage stronger than despair." The crowd murmured in agreement. The humans present felt a quiet pride. They had crossed galaxies to save a distant world, and they had succeeded. Captain Reyes placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "This is only the beginning. Out there," he said, pointing toward the stars, "other voices may still be unheard, and we will answer them just like we answered this one." Mira nodded. "Then we are not just visitors. We are listeners, protectors, guardians." The first real dawn in generations broke over Prime, painting the sky in soft gold and violet. Humanity had not only fought the darkness, they had helped a civilization rise again. And as the sun climbed higher, the stars beyond the planet seemed to twinkle with possibility, as if the universe itself was acknowledging the courage of those who answered a distant, desperate plea. The first true dawn over Prime was unlike any seen in centuries. Soft light spilled over the broken towers and charred plains, warming the faces of the few Varelians who had survived. Birds once thought extinct sang from distant hills, and the faint scent of fresh water drifted from rivers now free of metallic debris. Human engineers worked alongside Varelians to rebuild shelters, repair energy systems, and plant gardens. For the first time in generations, laughter returned to a world that had almost lost everything. Captain Elias Reyes stood atop a hill overlooking the main settlement, his hands folded behind his back. Beside him, Dr. Mira Lang watched the horizon, eyes bright with emotion. "They're going to be okay," Mira said softly. "The Krail are gone, at least for now. And they have a chance to rebuild," Reyes nodded. "Yes, but the galaxy is bigger than this one battle. There are others who may still be calling for help. Others who may not have heard anyone yet." Mira's expression grew thoughtful. "Then we will go to them too. If humanity can hear one call, we can hear many." The horizon remained in orbit, serving as a mobile command center. Captain Reyes held daily briefings with his officers, planning patrols, mapping the remaining Krail threats, and coordinating aid for the survivors. Elder Sarai visited them often, her light now stronger from the energy restored by human technology. She studied the humans carefully, as if trying to understand a species that had arrived from across the stars not to conquer but to protect. "You humans are extraordinary," she said one morning. "You risk everything for others you have never met." "Why?" Reyes shrugged. "I suppose it's because we understand fear and we understand hope. When someone calls for help, ignoring it isn't an option. That's how we survive, not alone but together." Sarai smiled faintly. "Your people will be remembered in every corner of this world. And I hope, beyond." Meanwhile, Mira worked to perfect communication systems. She linked Earth, the horizon, and the surviving Varelian network into a stable channel. Messages could now travel instantly between worlds instead of waiting for years to reach their destination. One day, she received a new signal, one that was unmistakably intelligent. She froze as the translation completed. "Humans, we see your work. You have saved lives. We ask, will you come to us?" She looked at Reyes, heart pounding. "Sir, there are others," Reyes smiled. "And we will answer them just as we answered Prime." Weeks passed. The survivors grew stronger. Children played in clean water rivers, learning human games and Varelian songs. Adults built workshops and laboratories, sharing knowledge. Humanity's influence was quiet but firm, helping without taking control. The Krail fleet had been shattered, but small remnants drifted in the dark. Patrol drones from the horizon scanned endlessly, making sure no rogue ships could threaten Prime again. The humans had proven that intelligence combined with courage could challenge even the coldest machines. In a ceremony held beneath the repaired Grand Beacon, Elder Sarai addressed the humans and Varelians together. Her voice, melodic and warm, carried through the settlement. "Today we are alive because someone listened. We are alive because courage crossed galaxies. Humanity did not see what was convenient or easy. They saw what was right. For that we are forever grateful. And now we begin again, stronger and wiser, ready to protect our home and those we love." The crowd cheered. Humans and Varelians embraced, sharing a bond forged in fire and hope. Mira felt a warmth in her chest she had never felt before. "We came for them," she whispered to Reyes. "But it feels like they've given us something too." Reyes nodded. "They remind us why we fight, why we care, why we explore. That's the gift of listening." From orbit, the horizon recorded the sunrise, the repairs, and the laughter. The ship's log would one day tell the story of a planet saved by courage and collaboration. Yet, even as the team celebrated, Reyes knew the galaxy was vast and many voices remained unheard. The horizon prepared for departure. It would take months, even years, to reach the next call. The crew knew it would not be easy. The unknown waited in the dark, but they were no longer afraid. Humanity had learned that fear was not stronger than purpose. As the ship lifted off, Elder Sarai's voice echoed through the comms. "Go with our blessing, humans. Carry our hope with you as you carried it to us." Mira looked out at the blue planet shrinking behind them. "We will," she said firmly. "We will make sure no call for help goes unanswered." The horizon traveled through the stars, faster than light, following signals that had waited generations to be heard. Each new planet brought new challenges, new wonders, and new lives at risk. Humanity faced them with courage, ingenuity, and determination. Along the way, humans shared their knowledge. Agricultural techniques allowed struggling planets to grow food. Energy systems powered new cities. Healing technologies helped injured or sick populations. But more importantly, humans brought hope. They showed that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, someone cared. Reyes often reminded his crew, "It's not just our tech that saves lives. It's our hearts, our willingness to act, and our refusal to turn away. That is what makes humanity special." Mira wrote detailed reports of every encounter, translating alien languages and documenting the alliances. She realized that humanity's reputation was growing, not as conquerors but as guardians. Wherever humans traveled, hope followed. Months later, Prime sent its own message into space, a message of thanks, encoded with energy and light. The transmission spoke not only to Earth but to any other civilization that might be listening. We were forgotten. We were alone. But now we know that help exists. The stars are not silent. Humanity listens. And in listening, they bring life. The horizon received the message as it passed the outer edge of the system. Mira smiled. "They are sending a message back. To the universe, Captain Reyes nodded. Let it echo as far as it can. Let every lost civilization know that someone is listening. In the quiet moments aboard the Horizon, Mira reflected on the journey. She thought of the Varelians' plea, lost in the void for centuries, and how Earth had answered. She thought of the battles fought, the lives saved, and the friendships formed. And she realized that humanity had done more than rescue a distant world. They had proven something about themselves. Humans were not just survivors. They were listeners, protectors, guardians. They could cross impossible distances, face unknown dangers, and still choose to do what was right. The crew looked out at the endless stars, each one a potential home for life in need of aid. Mira whispered softly, almost to herself. We will hear them. We will come. We will not fail. Captain Reyes placed a hand on her shoulder. And the stars will remember us for it. Years passed. Prime slowly healed. Children grew, humans and Varelians working together to build a brighter future. Across the galaxy, faint signals reached Earth, each one a call for help. And each time humanity answered. The story of Prime became a legend, a tale told in every corner of human and alien worlds alike. How a small blue planet listened when no one else did, how courage and compassion crossed galaxies, and how hope could change the stars themselves. Mira Lang, standing on the bridge of the Horizon, watched as the next signal appeared on the screen. She smiled. Somewhere out there, a voice called, and this time, humanity would not wait. Because Earth had learned to listen. Because Earth had learned to care. Because Earth had learned that even the smallest act of courage could echo across the universe.